All right, hello everybody. I'm at the race world first. Mr. Cams is here. The Ronix over there eating a sandwich. Dr. Atlas is behind me raiding, as you can see. Caress his arm. He'll be okay with it. Another thing, I'm saying hello. But there's a handful of Warlock changes coming in that were announced earlier this afternoon. I guess a couple hours ago, depending when this video goes live. I am between shifts. We'll talk about them real fast here. And that's too big. I guess give thoughts on them and all that stuff too. Now, I don't think it changes a whole lot as far as the raid's concerned, but there are some pretty substantial buffs coming in that are to Demonology, Destro, and I guess essentially Affliction here. The bigger ones being Aff and Demo, but Destro has both this and the pet buff. So quickly, developers notes, we're increasing the throughput of Affliction and Demonology by primarily focusing on their single target tools, secondary focus on multi-target kit. Now, I mean, like Demo has a lot of stat cleave, obviously. Like it's just baseline profile, Diablo stuff, Demonology, all that. Affliction, like multi-target Affliction, like stat cleave is more seed, so based stuff. If you're talking like council-based cleave, there are definitely ways to address it. I think these are getting in that direction, but I don't think it's like as strong enough, or as strong as like the Destro Hellcaller stuff's concerned. We'll get into that. Additionally, we're considerably increasing the damage of Warlock Demons. They have a larger contribution to overall throughput. They should also have a bit more with aggro concerns during solo play. So obviously, I mean, there's various ways to buff aggro stuff with like solo play and all that. But this buff here, so the Imp, Voidwalker, Syad, and Fellhunter damage increased by 350. So that's like a considerable buff, like quite large. Now, if you go to like Sazorak this tier, looking at it being like the only single target fight of the tier, top like a heroic log here. So our pets are, I think, are like around 3% roughly damage wise. Look at Destro, for example. I'll take a top log here. Breakdown wise, we're looking at, where's my imp at? I guess melee lash of pain. Actually below where I thought. Let's see if we can hop somewhere else here. Let's find like a different log to verify. Hop here, and we'll hop here in these top three, roughly right. Now, to clarify again, this is also like not Demo. The Felgar was buffed by 20%. However, this massive buff, 350, is not to like the Felgar. That'd be a ludicrous amount for, you know, or Demo, obviously, right? Look at the breakdown here. So yeah, there's a Nipple, the the imp. This guy's pet's name is phenomenal. About 0.92. I thought it was actually a bit higher than it is. I thought it was around 2% roughly, give or take. But regardless, so basically 1%. So a 350 buff to this is going to put it probably right around, I mean, 3.5-ish%, give or take. And this is more or less, if you're looking at it like a patchwork or prio, like single target damage setting, about a 3.5% buff, roughly, give or take, like just to your damage, whether you're Aff, or Destro, right? Pet doing a considerable amount more damage, which is nice. So that's like a buff to both, that's loud, to both Destro and Affliction. Now, outside of that, Affliction and Demo got a handful of changes, so let's get rid of all that. Don't need that. Demo and Affliction got a handful of changes coming in. I believe these are happening on Tuesday. So big buff here. Unstable Affliction, 15% damage increase, which is considerable. It probably needs to be more than this, realistically. This is something that Aff's needed for a long time. Now, it does unfortunately have like these split trees being both single target and AoE based, without really the ability to get both talent, different like options. If you're looking for like a cleave and AoE based, or cleave and single target based scenario. The baseline UA buffs a little bit. What it amounts to, we'll see in Sims later on tonight, obviously, but I wouldn't have mind seeing like 30% here. It would have been fine, but regardless, it's a bit of a buff to single target. Blackened Soul damage increased by 20%, which is pretty nice also. For what it's worth, Hellcaller is very far behind, or pretty far behind than single target compared to Soul Harvester. I feel like in addition to them buffing that, they probably should have come in and buffed through the Fellvine for Hellcaller. If they were looking at doing that and making like Hellcaller Affliction a bit stronger in single target, they could buff this, right? Through the Fellvine increases UA damage by 8 and C by 4%, and it's doubled when Malevolence is active. They did this for Destro last patch and made it like Chaos Bolt and Rain of Fire. It's like, I think it's like 25 and 30 or something like that at this point, and it's still doubled when Malevolence is active. They buffed it a lot for Destro last patch, Destro Hellcaller, but didn't touch it for Aff. And I feel like if they want Hellcaller to have more of an emphasis on single target, they can buff this, but regardless, UA buff helps a bit. Black and Soul damage increased by a little bit here, obviously. Keep in mind, Black and Soul doesn't stack anymore with UA or Seed. Or with Seed, I should say, not UA. For Hellcaller. So it does stack with UA, but no Seed. So there's that. So, I mean, Wrath and Nathriza, 35% increase. Shadow Nathriza, 25% increase. So Wrath and Shadow are all down here. The Apex talent. For the most part, it's passive damage increase, but we'll take it. Works, you know, in basically every scenario. You're playing Haunt wherever you go. Agony by 20, Corruption by 15, and Hellcaller increased, Wither increased by 10% baseline. So if we were able to look through like a Sazorak kill here briefly and try and find that Affliction Warlock has killed this, if anybody's even done this yet. Perfect, some have. There we go, Stranako. This is actually a bug log. I should look at this. Let's hop like here. I doubt this is bugged. Either way, so let's see here. So UA 27%, Wither 14. Yeah, I don't believe this is bugged. So there we go. Haunt, Shadowbolt, Dark Lair, Left Grass stuff here. So Agony is sitting at about 11.9, 12% roughly here, and Wither 15%. Obviously, you know, if you're playing, it's might actually bugged, possibly. It probably actually is based on them playing Hellcaller. Let's see if we can find a Soul Harvester log here, right there. Yeah, Mr. Graves. So looking at this, Agony is sitting at about 8.7% and Corruption 7.49. So you're looking at a 20% buff to Agony coming in and 15 in Corruption. So bit of a bump there, and UA 15%, obviously, plus Wrath and Shadow Nathriza, which are sitting, where are they? Wrong log. Sitting basically like somewhere in here. Here, Desperate Souls, all this stuff here, obviously, right? So, bit of a bump to this. I'm not sure what it'll amount to. It's probably like, with the pet buff, I'd assume it's probably like around 12%. That's super rough napkin math. Could be wrong. But regardless, though, AF needs a bump in single target. It probably needs more still, but nice either way. Demonology getting a bump here as well. So Shadowbolt 35, Demon Bolt 30. They buffed these both considerably, I think, a couple weeks ago in like a PTR build. Before launch came out, so a bit more single target emphasis, obviously. Imp damage increased by 20%, which is quite interesting. So if we can go back here and find like a demo kill on Sazorak, for example, let's see what we have here. Demonology and AF are actually pretty similar in single target output. They're both pretty bad. This will help both. There was the nerf that came in the Demonology probably 2 or 3 weeks ago to its like, it's AoE, Diabolus Demons. They nerf a lot of their abilities by 20%. This is more like, this is probably the buff that should have happened when they nerfed those. Because like the nerf to Diabolus Demons did nerf like AoE, but it hit our single target as well. And there were no compensation buffs to that nerf, or, you know, single target buffs, right? So if you're looking at like Shadowbolt 35, Demon Bolt 30, Wild Imp 20, right? So let's hop into here. Shadowbolt is sitting about 5%, Demon Bolt sitting around 4%. So you're looking at 30% of this, like, I don't know, 2%. 1.5% here, roughly there. They're looking at like the overall raw amount modifier wise. Imp damage by 20, Felguard as well by 20. Imp damage is pretty high. You're looking at about 12% here. So a buff to that, I mean, you're looking at what? Like 2.2% roughly, give or take, 2.3. Actually pretty substantial. It's one of your higher sources of damage if you're not breaking it down in a different fashion, which is pretty cool. 20% buff to Felguard. He doesn't do a whole lot either way. He's down here. It's probably like, you know, 1.5%. Something like that. Either way, he's pretty low. Probably could use more, but regardless, is what it is, a bit of a buff. Bigger thing here as well. Demon summoned by Dominion of Argus. Damage increased by 20%, which is interesting because 2 weeks ago or so, they nerfed Diabolus pets. Diabolus pets are from the hero talent, not the Apex talent. This is our Apex. So to clarify for Demonology, we're looking at basically this. So 2 weeks ago, like these were nerfed for Diabolus, these here basically. The Apex, Dominion of Argus, is being buffed by 20%, the damage these demons deal. These demons do indeed AoE as well. And so is it like the same consistent raw power that these are bringing through just the cycling of rituals and things? No, but it will make our damage stronger in Apex windows every minute, triggered by Tyrant and single target, as well as AoE and Rampant Plus. And on top of all that, you have a Dreadstalker 30% damage increase, which we can maybe find a log here from M Plus possibly to look at. As far as ST is concerned, like 7% roughly. So 30% of this is like what? 2.5% roughly. Super rough math there, maybe. But that'll also be pretty big in plus. So the 30% dog increase in conjunction with the minor Felguard buff and the Dominion increase, Demo is targeting pretty strong in plus. I don't think it's like, the question is, I mean, like, is it part of like higher? Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah. I'm filming a video for this. I appreciate it. Oh, no, what's up? Say hello.
Hello.
Nice sub. What's up, big dog? Look at that.
There were like a lot of people like looking into it, and I was like, "Hey,
Trying to steal my food?
Yeah, they were
Ah,
like,
no shot.
why is that so big? And I was like, yeah, that's what she said, you know.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm fat. Thanks, dude. So yeah, Demo's probably strong in plus. To what extent? We'll see. It's not gonna be meta or anything. Unless the damage is stronger than we think, and other classes get nerfed just based on the lack of utility. But I mean, if you pull up like a Altar of Fangs demo run, right? The damage breakdown. I mean, dogs are like 8%, so 30% on top of that, pretty decent. There's your Dominion there as well. So you're looking at 20% Dominion damage increase, plus dogs being 30%, imps or whatever, so on and so forth. Your pet is sitting right about here, but it's not nothing, right? So we'll take it. SC buff as well as AoE. Destro, the last thing here. This might be the most wild point of tuning. Maybe I think it's more than it actually is. But like a 30% buff to Rain of Fire is actually a lot. Now, if like Destro, when it comes to M+, as far as Lock and M+ is concerned, like the highest overall... how do I phrase this? The spec is likely like the best when it comes to M+ in a higher end where you're pulling like multiple packs aiming down like in a higher, more competitive scenario, likely is Destro. And a 30% buff to Rain of Fire is actually pretty strong. Like pulling up like a Altar of Fangs run here. Like Diablos Destro, like Rain of Fire is 50% already. And Ritual, like this is not usually your main source of damage unless you're breaking it, unless you're like summarizing it all. It's split between a lot of other abilities here, but like Echo Sargeras and Rain of Fire typically trade back and forth like number 1 and number 2. So, Petals, what do you think about the 30% Rain of Fire buff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Rain of Fire is not very good in Mythic Plus, right?
It's like a number 1 source of damage, or 2 is the ad list. It's higher than it seems.
So it's
like this is
how much is it in Mythic Plus? Because like okay, so that spec for context is actually quite good.
Yeah.
It was
Rain of Fire is not large.
okay, but it's like the thing is in Mythic Plus, it's probably like top 25% DPS specs, right? It's like not OP, but it's like good.
THG's here.
And then they got a
We're recording a video. THG, say hello.
how much is that? So it's 30% on
THG's hand.
15% of your damage.
There he is. I mean, yeah, this is like a breakdown from an Altar of Fangs, right? Like
I can't imagine that it's going to be OP.
I mean, Ritual is like not 20% in a sense. Like these are all being summarized together.
So like the question
like-
is like what comp would you play? Okay, so you play Destro Warlock plus Arcane Mage, and then you'd have to pick a third, right?
Mhm.
The third could be a Devour Demon Hunter or a Moon King.
I mean, I guess,
Oh,
yeah.
actually, Elishamon's fucking broken, so it's probably that spec, right?
Yeah.
There's probably a comp that fits. I doubt that this is like gonna put them in like meta, but I bet it's.
But they're already like pretty good though at this point. Like, I mean, you're lacking like utility as Warlock though too, right? So I mean, like unless you're building a comp around like what you said.
I don't think you care about utility. Who doesn't? Just do big damn, right?
Well,
Like,
I think this buff's strong enough for that, sure, but I don't know if that's actually the case.
yeah, I don't think so.
Like, I think it's decent though. Demo buffs are interesting as well.
so it's like
but
5% overall increase, which I don't think
probably, yeah.
I don't think they were 5% away from being the best in the game.
You're getting ST increase here too, though, which is nice. Like,
I don't know. Maybe it's just gonna be OP, and I'm gonna eat these fucking words. I think it's gonna be like really good, but not OP.
okay, enjoy your food, Tettles. I agree. It's solid, but I don't know if like Lock fits a comp exceptionally well. Plus, like you don't bring something more important like Mark or something of the sort. But at the same time, like Destro on the high end, I think is our best spec. When it comes to like plugging average keys, I think Demonology is like just a better option. If you're plugging keys and like playing with a tank, doesn't know how to tank that well, and pulling out a Rain of Fire and Kata and like a Fire to Pain, but this is like substantial. So this in conjunction with the pet buffs is actually pretty strong. This pet buff's gonna hit everything. Well, I guess Destro and Aff obviously, right? But looking at raid, what's gonna happen in the raid and stuff, right? Is it gonna change much in the raid? These buffs overall, probably not a whole lot. You're playing Destro on most fights here, except for like maybe Nexali and Vashnik. These two might change to being Demonology based on the buffs. You're getting ST buffs as well as stat cleave buffs and passive pet damage buffs, right? These are like weird Destro fights. They work, but I think Demo could be better here. On Vashnik, possibly. Nexali a lot of running back and forth between targets. Pets are annoying there, but at the same time, like, with the buffs to Demo, it might actually be enough. So, I don't know. We'll see where it lands, but these aren't hitting until Tuesday, which probably be like day 2 of Mythic at this point, how long it's taking the race to go. But, yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching. GN. Here's Tettles chewing his food. I'll see you later. Good night.